Hello everyone, Chris Chinnock here for the 8K Association and the newsletter of the association called the 8K Monitor. We have just issued a new white paper which talks about the state of 8K video production. And this report really focuses on advanced codecs, current codecs, advanced codecs, encoders and decoders, and some of the demonstrations of live 8K production that have been done to date, and there's been actually quite a few trials and demonstrations so far. So the report's pretty comprehensive. Was put together by the Encode and Decode Committee of the 8K Association, and we wanted to really understand what codecs are being used today, how they will be advancing in the future and be used for live production, as well as the state of 8K encoders and decoders. So what we found was HEVC is clearly the dominant codec today and is likely to be the dominant codec for the next several years. It can clearly support 8K live production throughout the whole ecosystem for both contribution and distribution. And we found that it's typically 50 to 80 megabits per second for distribution of 8K 60 frame content is typical today. But it's not as big a hurdle as you might think. Many consumers actually have 1 gigabit or half gigabit connections to their home today, so can easily support that kind of a service. And we're starting to see some initial streaming services out there as well. But streaming is a different beast, of course, than live 8K, which is the most challenging application. So the report also has a nice table of the commercial encoders that are out there today. There's over a dozen of those, as well as the decoders and players that are out in platforms, primarily TVs and PC-based solutions today. But during the webinar, we had a webinar that discussed this report. We asked the attendees several questions, and one of them was, do you intend to have a live 8K demonstration in the near term? And a rather impressive 41% said yes. So I think there's a lot of interest in trying to move 8K live production forward beyond just the trials and maybe to something a little bit more comprehensive, major events, for example. But there's still work to be done. So I invite you, if you're interested, to listen to the webinar, to download the report. You can also access the slides from the webinar. All those links will be below. So thanks for your attention. So long.